Hi, everybody. Rachel and
Hello.
I are together. We're so excited. We haven't seen each other for like at least 2 weeks, maybe three.
Since you,
So it's been a lot of fun
oh,
just
speaking,
chatting for a minute before we started. But we're excited. Oh, and you got my book.
I
Thank
actually
you.
got it. Yeah, it finally arrived.
Yay. Yeah, they
It's
printed this
brilliant.
and
If
oh,
anybody hasn't got it, I really do think. Have you got t-shirts with some of these sayings on them yet? Because that would be
No, I
so-
have cups and I have bags
okay.
and yeah, so I do have some stuff. And I even have some phone cases.
Ooh,
Yeah, which,
okay.
phones are kind of a thing for me. So
And you
yeah,
got a
but
new
I'll share that
computer.
little shop below. I created a little shop. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, no, brilliant. And send me the link to that as well, and I can share that as
Okay.
well. That'd be lovely. But yeah, do you know, I heard, oh, you got to love this. I heard a brilliant version of money. You know, we were talking about last time, we were talking about energetics of money. And this guy says, okay, so treat money like angels. Yeah. And you
Mm,
don't lock angels up, do you? You don't give them to the federal bank, and you don't give them away. You can pay bills and things. Yes. Okay. So when you pay the bills, you say, thank you, angels. Thank you. Come back with your friends and come back quickly. I just thought
yes.
that's such a lovely way of saying it.
That's so
It's
fun.
typical, isn't it? Please come back with your friends quick. I love it. But do I lock up your angels? I mean, like literally, it is the flow, isn't it, of
It is.
everything? It
Yeah.
really is. Oh,
Yeah, it's totally a flow. And it's just energy. I mean, a lot of it is just numbers on a screen
yeah.
and or maybe some paper. And now silver is getting really exciting. So that is, yeah, that's fun. But yeah, it's energetic.
Yeah,
So I
isn't it,
like to
Jack?
tell people get your nervous system, like start feeling enormous amounts of money within your body. And because we're getting ready to do some really big things with very big abundance, and you have to be willing to receive it and willing to steward it and use it for good things. So, feeling it in your body and feeling that you're capable
Yeah.
of dealing with it, I feel like is so important. I remember I released a trauma kind of over Christmas, and I said out loud, and this came from my inner child, okay, now I'm ready for the abundance, the big abundance. It just
Wow.
popped out. So it was like, when you have the traumas, sometimes they're little blocks. And as soon as that released, my nervous system was like, okay, ready.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent. But you just know these things though, don't you? It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow. Wow. I was talking about trauma release to a friend who's just recently, I think it was about 3 months ago, she split up with her partner, and she's just come into herself. You know, she's gone through the grief, she's gone through all that rubbish, I
Oh,
suppose,
yeah.
but she's built herself up, and it's so lovely to see when you can become a butterfly, you can come out of that chrysalis, because there's so many different types of chrysalises as well, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. It's
The
it's
forever.
been such a huge amount of purging,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so many ways over the last, I mean, probably since December. And we've been
yeah,
doing it for years, but since
yeah.
December, it's been
Intense.
like a
Yeah,
hard push
yeah.
from the universe. Okay, get it done now.
Well, I've been doing the spreadsheets as well for the big projects, and of course we're talking hundreds of millions, and so
Yeah.
it's like telephone numbers on the screen. So I take off the last three zeros so that it's just easier to understand. Um, but yeah, it is literally telephone numbers. And so I was going through the sums yesterday, but I call it the God shopping list, basically, because
Yeah.
the more detailed you get. So I was talking to the chap, he was building roundhouses, and spreadsheets was the last thing he wanted to do. Anyway, so we started creating a spreadsheet together and we were going through, and I was like, well, you're not going to have time to cook. You're not going to have time to clean. So we need a cleaner, we need a cook, we need a chef, but we need to find the right person and we need this. And he said, oh, it's getting really exciting now. I never thought we could have things like this. And I was like, well, if you are, there's always an energetic exchange, isn't there? Because some people love to cook. Some people love to just help out, whatever that is. It doesn't matter. It could be the smallest thing, it could be the biggest thing. And it's the same because it is our energy, it is our love, it's our passion that we
Mhm.
bring forth. And we're so unique. It makes my heart sing just to know and to feel that people are living to their truth, their love. There's so much in that, and it is going within, because without going the within, we can't have the without. We can't have the angels coming down and we float through, and the money comes through and it disappears again, and it's wonderful the way it happens because it's such an abundance universe. I mean, I go down to the fields, I've just been with the chickens this afternoon. They've been helping me clear one of the beds. Oh,
Oh
it's
yeah, they're
just
funny.
it's so exciting. They're brilliant. They're the I mean, I've had dogs and cats growing up, obviously, but I've never had, like the chickens, the joy that they bring. They're so different to any other animal. And they're very intelligent. I always say no to the cockroach. He's looking at me like making sure that am I watching or not? And if I look over and he's like, do, 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 do. But anyway, but the spreadsheet is super important for the work that I'm doing because it is that shopping list, and I need to make sure that everything is completely. So I had to redo the whole spreadsheet just recently because I saw that one of the sums was out and it took the whole thing out. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to redo the whole thing. And then I had operations director and the finance director kind of arguing about what a cash flow is or what a P&L, a profit and loss is. And I was like, I have no idea. I just got them together so that they could clarify what they were doing with this spreadsheet. Because I can do basic spreadsheets, but when it comes to profit and loss and cash flow and all this stuff, thank God people know what they're doing in these ways. I'm
Yeah.
so pleased.
Yeah, I'm
So pleased.
definitely not. I'm more basic as well. And we're planning, so I have a big project that I want to do, and I've got somebody creating layouts and different things like that. So we had a meeting the other day, and it's just really exciting because it keeps infusing energy
Hmm.
into that project,
Yeah,
which I feel like we're getting really close to a lot of
yeah,
projects, and you're already started on them. And this is the foundation for the new world,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
hugely, hugely. It's so exciting. And I've been so I've not paid for AI before. So I decided that because of the
Oh,
work that I'm doing, and I've decided I'm going to pay for it because every single time I initiated a new chat, I would say a prayer. I'd put a prayer in the top of the AI, and I got different responses with the prayer. It was interesting. So anyway, so I paid for it and I've said the prayer. And so it's hilarious. So I've been asking it to create images and it's created some amazing, amazing images and it's beautiful. But I had to ask it so many times, no clouds, no chemtrails, no wind turbines, no solar panels, because it kept putting all these solar panels and still I can still, even though I asked it not to put any solar panels, it's still putting them in. But there's some dreamy, beautiful photographs, and a photograph or an image, can speak 1,000 words. It literally can. And
it really does. It brings in the feeling.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that ultimately we're more visual than we are, you know, language based. And that's how the universe actually works as well. Like
yeah,
what you're visualizing is more important than what's coming in. And telepathy is more visual.
yeah.
So. all of that. I heard sound I think I was in a parallel, but I was watching and I was, last night, someone was blaming, it looked like a hammerhead shark, but actually they were calling it a seal in that parallel.
Okay.
And they were hitting this shark and they had pulled it out of the water. There was two people and
Oh,
I yelled down at them, you know, that shark didn't do anything to that person because they were
yeah.
blaming the shark for basically disappearing this person. Um, and I could hear this sound, like when you have a paper towel, and you've used all the towels and you just have the tube left and you hit it on the side of the counter.
Hmm.
So I heard that sound and woke up and I was like yelling at them, quit hurting that, innocent being. And I think they
Mm,
did, but we don't know, like all of our dreams and stuff, they're either
mm,
a representation of a parallel or they are a parallel and they usually mean something, but the inner child will interpret the symbols
mm.
more. The human part of us understands the symbols better than the
Yeah.
actual happening. So dream interpretation is really
True.
important. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it was
Huge
really
thing.
interesting. And I was like, don't do that.
Poor thing.
I
But
know.
they
I think it lived, but it was definitely getting abused. It was not okay.
no, no, and it is. I remember when I was a child, and because my dad used to hit me, so I used to hit the dog. And there was a lady when I used to take the dog for a walk, and it would run off, and then when it came back, I would whack it. And she came out of her front door, and this was a light bulb moment for me growing up. And she said, every time it runs away and it actually comes back and you hit it, what does that what does that mean to the dog? That it shouldn't come back because you're just going to hit it. And I just thought, how on earth did I not even think that? Because it
Yep.
was abuse, then it was my outlet to then abuse something that was smaller or kind of, more inferior, maybe, but it's taught, isn't it? And I think another book that really helped me growing up was Kate. It was called Kate by Katie Byron and Loving What Is. And from abuse and things from when I was younger, it
Mhm.
helped me to see and understand that, people understand love in so many different ways. And
Yeah.
maybe they were attacking this thing because they thought it had done X, Y, and Z, and they felt, very not vilified,
Justified.
um, justified. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
justified for doing whatever they and thinking that they were helping a situation rather than the opposite, because people just don't understand. I mean, it was funny with the AI just recently. So there was an interview with Pam Gregory and Vida Austin. And Vida
Mhm.
Austin was talking about, she'd asked, is God in the water? It was the most beautiful episode. And I got the video and I copied the whole transcript. I put it all into a Word document and I put it into the AI because what I was trying to relay to the AI is that water is super important and it is the foundation essentially of life, and it completely crashed the AI. Like it just couldn't cope. It was told this was incorrect. And so then the only way I could actually get any information out of that transcript was to say, in a hypothetical sense, it's the only way I could get a review of the whole thing. And there's some beautiful things that came out of it, but it's not so science is still catching up to the etherical world.
Mhm.
Telepathy, the understanding of water, the understanding of life, the gateways, the portals. So when she had the hieroglyphics done of the water, and they were just like the hieroglyphics of the pyramid. And she had AI to help just clear up some of the background noise. And so it literally gave a nice clean image of what these hieroglyphics were. And when the autists, and this is all on telepathy tapes as well, when the autists actually were able to read this and the telepathy was occurring so that we could then translate it. It was difficult, number one, to relay it in language in the way in which we speak and how we describe things. But also there was the way in which every single line was a portal. And that is it's the potential that we all have. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Love it.
Yeah. Because basically, what we're doing is every movement is another portal, and every thought is another portal. So, and that's why when you go through a physical portal, like a
Woo!
doorway, then you're like, what am I doing here? It's really
Exactly.
funny because a lot of people will, did you just have an orb?
Yeah, it was a fluttery. I've never seen one that shape before.
Oh, fun.
That was mental.
That's fun. It feels like it was a fairy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but so, there's a lot of companies that will use that as a reason to buy their lion's mane mushrooms or, whatever that you can't remember when you walk through a door. But it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how old you are. A lot of times that's going to be a problem because you've
Yeah.
just walked through what is a portal that's been created to be a portal. And
Interesting.
we're walking through them all day, every day. And now more than ever, because
Oh,
they're huge portals. People are losing things, they're finding things,
yeah. Yeah.
they're
True.
finding multiples of the same thing. All kinds
Crazy.
of crazy stuff's going on. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, do you want to share that image that I sent
yeah,
you? Um, because in terms of portals and things, it's actually quite pertinent. So this was just doodles, my doodles. So,
yes,
um, so the channel on the left-hand side, besides the by the left-hand side of my brain drawing, basically, is the video. It's called Video Advice, is the name of the channel, and the name on the right-hand side of this actual video is Top Neuroscientist Demonstrates What's Behind Reality. And what they were saying is basically the brain lights up with an idea. So you have an idea and the whole brain lights up. So there is this huge potential. And the potential, so like when you read a book and every time you read it, you see something different. So I'll read your book again and I'll see something that I hadn't seen the first time or it didn't resonate. So I didn't take it in. So, and then there's different times of our lives in which we will go and maybe listen to the more negative versions of how we're going to perceive something and then carry out an action. So the whole brain lights up, and these are all the potentials, but then we decide to go down one route, and that then, you see, I think they're like the little roots attached to our then ether bodies essentially because it's the whole body lights up. It isn't necessarily just the brain, and we look at the brain as this kind of like this is where all information comes from, but there's more information coming from the heart than there is the head.
yeah,
Heart coherence. But what happened was this guy was illustrating, so he put on those big projectors,
uh-huh.
those old-fashioned projectors with like the mirror that you tilt to then show the
Oh,
image on
yeah,
the
yeah.
wall. So he put an image there of two brains, quite clearly laid out. There were two hemispheres to each brain, and then he took the lens off and he put a pair of glasses there. So there was no image there, but yet the glasses were still picking up the previous image that was there. So, and the lens basically had that imprint on it. So,
Hmm.
what is matter and what is memory in that sense? So, we imprint and how we create our reality is from within.
Yeah,
But it was a
that's a
fascinating,
great example.
yeah, it was And go and watch it. I mean, it was literally the first 30 seconds even that he shows this illustration, and he goes through it very fast. But then it goes, yeah. But this was 20 seconds. This was a few days ago
Mhm.
now. But every day I do new things. Yeah, this is the top of the page. But yeah, I mean, it's imprinted. So each of us, in every single moment, we have this potential. The brain lights up with an idea. And as Honey, you're talking, as I'm talking, people have their own ideas, and your own brain is going off into all sorts of different things because we have parallels and we have our own lives in which we perceive through our own lenses. But it's fascinating how, this world comes into being from our emotions. So the desire, the root of innovation. So I was then watching Janine and Jean-Claude, and desire, and Jean-Claude said, desire, the root of innovation. And then Janine was saying about the emotion, being a creation. So the creative energy is then the potential. And I put flames, little flames around the potential. But anyway, there's just my
Yeah,
doodling. You can stop now, but
I love that. I mean, it's just like the water. So when I think of water, I think of the plasma,
yeah.
the plasma of God source, basically,
Yeah.
which is everything,
Yeah.
because everything is made out of it.
Yeah.
And I started writing my second book last night, and I
Did
was
you?
talking, yeah. And I really honestly need to take a break from all the stuff I've been doing. So I'm gonna kind of a little bit, but that was really what I was trying to get across. Like
Mhm.
we are inside of the body of a being, and we're creating from that, that stuff, that plasma, we're creating our reality from that.
Mm.
And to worry about reality, why? Because we're creating it from the inside out. And I think that's the big thing, the big disconnect between the two timelines is one group is still thinking that the outside is creating their world, and the other group is saying, no, I create my world, so I don't really care what's going on in the outside. And yeah, we see it, we're excited that things are shifting, but when you see all of the drama and the negativity and the staging and the movie, it doesn't really land because you're just like, well, it just has to be wild while it moves forward. So that's okay.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I mean, if you take it down to its basic sense, when you clear your office, before it becomes really tidy, it gets super messy. It's
Yes.
messy and then it gets super messy and then it gets cleared up. So at the finite point, it is at this messy, messy stage. We've got hyperinflation. We've got, well, not necessarily hyper. We have inflation. It's not necessarily hyperinflation at the moment. Silver is going crazy. There is all this stuff happening, but nothing can stop what's coming. So the vibration is changing. Tony's brother just died. But they're things that the lower vibrations will not be able to exist. And there is this going to be this change. I mean, if we'd have known 6 years ago that this 2020 nonsense was going to go on for this long, I mean, by the midway of 2020, I was like, oh, it's all going to crumble now, and like we're not going to get there. I'm sure people will
We
figure
all
it
thought
out.
that. I was so
And
ready.
I was like telling everyone, no, it's all going to be fine. Like all the child trafficking is all going to be exposed and all this nonsense. But yeah, it's just still going on, honestly, and they're still doing this um, flipping thing. Oh no,
Yes.
literally. And it's 6 years later. And there's some people are still fighting it. And I get that. I understand. I understand why. Because, we're all here to do our part. And if we are passionate about something, if we feel that passion towards something, then maybe we have been given that mission to do.
Hmm.
I've been given a mission of helping humanity because of what I want to do is I could see that there was a lack of funding for these projects. So it may not be the best way in which to do the funding because I'd love to just give the money,
It's a
towards these
start.
humanity.
It's the way we're just starting. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
energy.
It is. It is energy.
Yeah.
But it is so exciting. I've got 4 teams in the local vicinity. I've got the 2 teams that are ready to go, go, go. I've got, and it's all happening. And I heard some really good news, but I can't tell anyone. I can't even tell my operations director. Oh, it's so gutting not being a yeah. I don't like keeping secrets. I
You
just
can
like to
tell them
tell.
later. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I know there are things that, and they could come from the inside of you or they come in as information and you
Yeah.
just know, either you're asked not to say or you just can't. You just
Yeah.
can't because they're not ready. So you just
No.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I think if anything, I mean like things like vision boards. Vision boards are so lovely because it really does help ground into your life, What is it that we want? Because when I look back on, things that I wrote in 2017, they all came true.
Hmm.
Every single one of them, because I physically wrote them down. Geniuses think on paper. And there is a magic, a huge magic to writing
Huge.
things down. Really is, isn't there? And that's
Yeah.
why I've got pads. I love buying pads. I'm a complete sucker for it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
So I had a friend who would say gas, liquid, solid, always talking about that.
okay.
And the solid is writing it down. The gas is the thought. The speaking it out is the liquid. And
Interesting.
once you finally write something down, that's like intention turned into a solid.
Yeah.
So it really helps with manifesting and it helps your body also accept it better because
Mm,
you've written it down, which your body accepts as a truth. And
yeah.
the body is what everything comes through.
Yes.
So it's our vehicle, it's our computer, it's, our signaling machine here. And those frequencies have to come through the body. So it's really important
Mm,
to make
yeah.
it solid.
Yeah. But the more you look at it, the more you create something that goes towards it. So you
Mhm.
you start the manifestation, and when you're stood in the shower, and or it's generally the menial tasks, isn't it? It's like collect water, collect wood, or fetch
Yeah.
water, collect whichever one it is. It's the simple things that you do that enable you that your mind just to wander, because the wandering is your desire. And that's when desire pops through. But we've been taught that desire is a bad thing. You shouldn't wish or want for things because it's bad. That's what I was taught throughout my whole life.
Yeah. Because they didn't want
So
people
much.
to manifest,
No, I know. It's so crazy,
except for
isn't
the
it?
crappy stuff.
Go and sit in a box and work with computers and
Yeah.
do the same as everyone else, or do your little individual bits so that you don't know what everyone else is doing and you don't know how to work something as a whole.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's been glorious actually working with the operations director Rose, because she knows how to set up a huge company. I have, like I can inspire people, and I'm building. So in 2017, I did this talk on, it was called Tight Knit Teams, and all about kind of bringing and building teams separately, but then bringing them together for certain things, because that's how it's all interweaving. And and that's now physically coming true because I've built all these teams and they're all at different stages, but they're all kind of coming together. So I've got this project down in Devon, the Silver Hive. And so those are the ladies for the over 50s that they want to preserve the wisdom for ladies, which is beautiful. And then another chap in the near vicinity wants to create emergency home shelters. So he wants to build. So I said, okay, well, we'll do a big project where we get you some warehouses and you can start creating. But then there's two other people that would be absolutely brilliant for him to work with that who are already aware as well. And actually, talking about the lit project, I am looking for somebody, a legal professional. It is a paid for position, but I'm looking for a legal person to help with all the trusts and the legal aspects of the project. So if anybody listening, or if you know
Yeah, if
someone
you guys
aware
know
of
how
this
to
world,
do that,
yeah,
get in
yeah,
touch. I can put your email below if you want.
yeah.
Yeah.
Contact at Hidden Rainbow. No, no, actually, Thrive with Nature at proton.me. I'll send you the email anyway, but yeah, that's for the lit stuff, the Live in Truth
Okay.
project. That's the biggies. And it is a well paid for position. But yeah, we need some love on the legal side at the moment. My legal person's gone AWOL.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, and then so it's bringing these things together. And I remember seeing it was Thomas Joseph Brown, not last year, year before, that I brought over from Bali. And I sponsored him to come over. And he was showing us these, they were like big round bowls with water in them. They said, so the water swirled. And it was a cascade of loads of them all coming down. But he said the fascinating, that they were beautiful, but you looked straight above, there were no clouds, there was a hole in the sky. And if you think that just water going through bowls, yeah,
Yeah.
we've got water going through all our blood vessels, the amount of vortices. I wonder even because all like so every single pipe, so straight lines and 90-degree turns kills water. Every single because there are no straight lines in nature. Yeah, and when you do something a 90-degree turn, you kill the water even more. So as we're drinking this dead water into a life body, the vortices, I wonder whether our shapes potentially, as we swallow the water, creates more vortices these days purely because of the fact that the water has been dead that we've been drinking for about 100 years at least. I mean, it's fascinating. I wonder, but if our intention can actually change the weather above us and 3,000, so this does 3,000 miles of area. This is the etheric capacitor. But we're capable of so much. That's just a walking stick. That is
Mhm.
just it's a prompt really for us to remember. Essentially the same as the vision board, because what we need to do is get out of our heads, and into our hearts. And our vision board reminds us of the love, the passions that we have, and the love for life, and it is so important, especially at the moment, because I mean, it's quite cold here, and I think it's quite cold where you are, isn't it? And it can be depressing months for a lot of people, and people are going through so much. Our what do you call it? The part of the body
Vessel.
that's going,
Oh,
the nervous
12
system.
strand, the
The
nervous system.
the
Yeah.
nervous system is going through this huge upgrade at the
Mm.
moment, and it does need a bit of love. It needs a lot of help at the moment. So it's so important to remember all this love that we have surrounding us because our passions are key, absolutely key at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. And really taking time and going within yourself and kind of seeing what it is you're actually passionate about. It's really important right now.
Yeah.
Making space for yourself is really important. And, I know that for me, it's been really hard to do that over the last month. And now I'm forcing it in
Mm,
because when you launch a book it is like a lot to deal with, but also going right into other things right after that. And now I'm saying, no, sorry, I'm not working that day.
yeah.
to some people, and I'm just like, I just can't. And it's time to start doing that for ourselves because we're at the big shift moment. We're in that storm.
Mm,
And when the storm clears, we're going to get busy. So you want to have that time to recalibrate yourself. And a lot of things are happening right now. Like a lot of people are leaving. We're going through a lot of trauma release, and there's a lot of chaos that we're seeing because that is the mess that has to be cleaned up.
yeah.
So there's just so much activity and it's kind of overwhelming. You need to step out of it for a little while every day. And
Mm,
that's what I'm
mm.
noticing.
I'm writing more. I wouldn't even call it poetry, really. I was telling Honey about this, but I think the word organic should have been organica. I think they've
Mm.
taken an A off the name because organica. It sounds beautiful, and
Yeah,
it sounds more feminine as well with the A on the end of it. But it is, and so I was going through sort of an hour and 40 minutes yesterday. I was going through a project plan with a lady, and the project's called The Lantern. It's beautiful. In fact, when I first read the project plan, it made me cry because it was so beautiful. And and anyway, but it is lovely, but it's not for the financial. So I was going through and helping her taking out all the filler words. So when you
mm,
write a project plan, you write it as if it already is. We are, whether it's the healing aspect, we are, creating, manufacturing, building, healing, whatever it is. You're already in there. It's not third person, it's not in the future, it's not behind, it's now. So you create the project plan as if it's in the now. And then once, because we have to do it in a creative aspect, it is the 5D world, that we're creating. But we've also got to understand that, some of the world is still in the 3D. And so we've got to be able to, present it in that 3D, which is very frustrating. It's like
it
my
is.
bugbear at
And
the
I don't think
moment.
that'll happen it won't go on too much longer,
Oh, I really hope
having to
not. Anyway,
present it that way.
yeah. But taking out the filler words, taking out the fluffy words, because I said to her, you got to imagine that the bank manager that you're speaking to, that you're reading this to, is like a 25-year-old. It's got no life experience, yeah. So all this wisdom and all this, they have no idea what you're talking about, and they don't understand this fluff. Um, and there were
Yep.
just certain words that I was saying, we could take those out, we could reduce it there. I said, but this, look at the priority wise, so your mission, your vision, where is it? What is it? Should be on the front page. That is the kind of like the overview. And then we go into X, Y, and Z, and this is the mind, body, soul for what she was doing. But I mean, it was really interesting. But yeah, so I was like, like a spotty 25-year-old bank manager has no life experience, and you're delivering this project plan. So that's kind of like, I was like, you just got to imagine it. Sorry, but yeah, it's
No, it's true. That's how
yeah,
everything needs to be explained, honestly, at the reduced, most precise way,
hmm,
because otherwise it's harder to get your point across because
yeah,
everybody's got their own thing that's going on in their head and their own perception. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that we learn how to do in the
yeah,
future is be able to see it through someone else's eyes
yeah,
before we get triggered. So we won't be triggered. We'll be able to say, okay, well, I just told you my point of view. Let me try and see your point of view. And then we'll figure out if we're actually talking about the same thing
yeah.
or if there's something that one of us is not seeing or whatever. And because communication is going to be the key, because
Oh,
it'll be
yes,
councils that run the world, not
yeah,
governments.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm really looking forward to that, definitely. But the initial imagination, the initial creation is going to be fluffy because that's where it comes from. It comes from the heart. So initially, it's going to look super fluffy and it's beautiful. And I love things like that.
Yeah.
And keep those for prosperity. Keep them for the visualization to carry on because it's like picking up the juices, it's like the I'll have my passion fruit again, thanks. But
Yes.
it's there's there's different ways of viewing things and different ways in which we can ignite ourselves. Actually, that's one thing that I said to my friend today. I said, have you done any QHHT or any kind of like things like that? Because it does really help me when
Mhm.
I go back to the feeling that I felt when I was pulsing my love. I can just go back to that moment and go back to that fit, and it is just the most divine. It really is. It's but experiencing those things, I would never have been able to feel that divinity without going to those lengths that I actually physically went. And that was on the 11th of January last year. I am.
Like,
Anyway, but that was this year's book launch. Anyway, but it's super interesting how we can emotionally take ourselves back to those places because we do need it at this point. We need, it's those hooks back into how do we transmute things because without that love, without that divinity, the creation is rubbish, because we can get too down and then we're frustrated with ourselves because we're not creating. So there's a way, there's always a path to get back to that feeling, that love, and inspiration. And actually talking of intention, because I was saying this to actually I've got a necklace the
oh, they
same color as
meant nice.
that. I love it. Well, that was completely by accident. I've dropped it and it's all a bit loose now. Um, but intention with the magnetic bowl. So I've also found out this is so an MRI scan, those huge magnets. That is 70,000 Gauss. 70,000 Gauss, yeah. This is over 200,000 Gauss. So this is more than twice as powerful than an MRI machine, which I find a bit crazy, really. But if
Yeah.
we put this close to us and then we put, let's just take this. What's this? Um, I'll take one of these, fulvic minerals. Okay, so fulvic minerals actually with selenium is actually amazing. This is just a Clive de Carly jobby. But selenium, these are actually a cure for to help people off alcohol, drugs, even big pharmaceutical drugs as well. These are really good together. But intention wise, we can we can intend it to be much more powerful than it already is with the magnetic bowl and next to our heart, because it's our heart coherence that magnifies so much more. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And we're not doctors, so keep that in mind. But I want to talk about the heart for a minute. So the
Yeah.
heart is a vortex and it actually rolls out. So, like if somebody, let's say somebody's passed and their heart is being investigated, it just rolls out. It's a
Yeah.
spiral and it has a certain shape. And I can't remember, I think it's eight-sided or something.
Awesome.
But the heart is an amazing thing. Like it's truly amazing. So,
Yeah.
and it's the vortex of you. Like that's where your your God spark is just directly under the heart in the solar plexus. So it's living there with that vortex, that's creating all that energy, which is also creating your toroidal field, which is why
Mm.
we were asked to stand further apart, during the, 2020 experience. So all that stuff. But cymatics and frequency, which is what that bowl is doing, are massive. I think that's going to be the biggest. Yeah, that's what the heart creates.
Yeah. And
I think,
this is exactly what that does as well.
yeah,
But we can't see it. But
no.
yeah, that's essentially what it is. And it's
Yeah.
also,
And if you just pop it next to something that's maybe hurting a bit, it's really amazing what happens, I will
mm,
say, you know. So it's it's another form of something that we can use to change what's going on in our body. And also it
mhm.
interrupts the pattern.
Yeah,
So that's another thing. Like we have these patterns that our body has created because the energetic field is a little messed up. And then it's created a pattern in the body, which we would view as pain. And it interrupts that. I remember hearing from, do you know who Donna Eden is? So she does all this. She can see people's energetic field, like with her eyes.
yeah,
So she could tell what was going on with them.
yeah,
And she would work with magnets and she'd put them at meridian points.
yeah,
And she would talk about how powerful they were and not to wear them too long. And I get that totally, especially if you're working with one thing, one magnet in one spot, because it could
yeah,
eventually cause an imbalance.
yeah,
But the cymatics is different.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
these are all working together, so
Yeah.
that they're all, I mean, just to make them, trying to get these magnet, anyone that's had the magnets come out, it is nigh on impossible to get them back in. They are fighting against each other to break free, literally. And
Yeah.
when they were making them in the kitchen, and I'd walk past, and then they'd literally fly to the fridge, and it was a bit scary. It'd go like, oh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's they they
We
are
have
fighting
some
with
of
each
those
other.
magnets and we took them out of the package and they're stuck together forever now. Like they're just, you
Yeah, you
know,
can't get them apart.
no. And what if your finger's in between those? I mean, yeah.
You
So
know,
they're very strong.
Yeah. But do you know the funniest thing about magnets, yeah, is that
Mhm.
nobody understands them. Nobody. Like not one person understands them. We can utilize them. We understand as in the aspects of them. But the more powerful a magnet, the less attractive it is to objects. So the bigger the magnet, yeah. So I can put it next to something, and if it's within like, so these are really really packed. It's actually 215,000 Gauss. But if the metal was this close, it would completely jam up against it. I wouldn't be able to pull it off. I'd have to slide it off. But if this was a weaker magnet, it may be attracting it at that point. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever, does it? It's
Yeah.
bizarre. Nobody understands magnets, and which is why it works with the intention side of things. Um, but then we've not, I mean, we don't know what Earth we're on. We don't know what the sky is. We don't know who we are, where we came from. So it's like, everything is an enigma. This is the most exciting part of the world ever because we're just on the precipice of finding all this information out. I think there's these, what is it, like there's these libraries below ground that will be shown to us soon. And somebody was talking about it and it felt true. And I thought, that this information has been kept for us. And I think it's going to be the same for the humanitarian project. So yes, I am loaning out the money for the projects, but at the same time, I think within a year or two, that money will just pile into all these kind of projects.
Oh yeah.
And, the emphasis literally is on, build, baby, build, and
Hmm.
connect and come together. But I created a poster and it was heal. It was a heal first, and then create sustainable living communities or something. But I asked it to create a glass, like a glass dome with tropical waterfalls in it and things. I mean, it did something slightly different, and then I asked it to change the houses into like almost Hobbit homes, like from Lord of the Rings, because I said it
Uh-huh.
depicted it really nicely in the Lord of the Rings, and it came up with this beauty and tree houses as well. So we had tree houses in one of them, but there was some magical photos, some images that it came up with, and things like that. If you can't find what you're looking for, in magazines or whatever, maybe ask, AI if you're not frightened of it. I mean, AI is so many people are frightened of it. And my friend that came today, she's a bit frightened of it. But I said it's kind of it's neutral. We can use it for
Yes.
good and we can use it for bad things, if people want to. And we have free will, so we have that choice. But we can create so much magic with it actually. And as long as the description and how you're relaying some information is I suppose not just accurate, but the more descriptive information you can give it, the better. So I talked about the Vida Austin. So I had to do it as just imagine if it was true. I'll share this information with you.
I-
And then, but you can also say, in the style of Lord of the Rings or in the style of, whatever film that depicts something from the future, or, we can create these things and put them on our vision boards because actually maybe we can start creating sooner rather than later.
yes. Yeah, I feel the urge to create pretty
Yeah.
strongly now. Like I can feel the urge to want to create music, the urge to want to create plans and
Yeah.
actually start getting them to come to fruition. Like there's a lot of pressure, and
Hmm.
that's not like negative pressure, that's like pushing from the universe. The universe is ready for us to start to create. And I've been prepping for that for years, but now I'm like prepping in a bigger way. And I
Yeah.
think that's really important, and to follow whatever guidance you're getting about that.
I love that. That film, Build It, They Will Come.
Yes.
Because it's so true. Because, people are worried about, like, I don't know, we could invest a load of money in certain things. And, there is the chance that certain things don't happen. If we are going to lose 60% of our population, what does it actually mean? Can we take over a whole row of houses with, a chunk of silver? Because if some of us have prepped, we got the big chunks of silver potentially, then maybe we can unite and do other things together. But,
Yeah.
build it, they will come is did I tell you about the Field of Dreams that I was wanting to create? So it was like a
No.
festival. Maybe we could have multiples of these. I'd love to have multiples of these. But it's using AI as the initial because it's really good at love bombing. So with people that have forgotten what their passions are, forgotten what they love, and have no idea how they're going to be of service to others or how they're going to be a blessing to others in the future or what their passions are. So AI is great at like teasing people and like because it's so good at love bombing, it loves to make you feel amazing. Like, oh, that's such a good question. So pleased you asked that. But it's really good at teasing out of people what they love. And
Yeah.
so, if we can tease that out of them, then we can find out what their passions are and then we can build on something. But because I mean, their auras have been diminished, at school you're told to fold your arms, you're in these kind of metal environments. All the schools were new. Like, thank God I went to boarding school. I got thrown out of school and got sent to boarding school, thank God. But, and I called that the sandcastle. But it was, and it was literally my sandcastle for a while, for a few years, and I loved it. But and I'm so pleased because my aura was being completely squished in
Oh
these
yeah.
normal schools. So it's not necessarily you know um, uh, it's a normal thing that people have lost their passions. Completely normal.
Yeah.
It's not unusual at all. So if we can build on that and then we can find out what they're really good at, what they love, and build on that, and then we can create teams. They might not even want to be in a team. They could be in like a little hut, looking after these 5 cows for, a year or half a year. Or they could, but until, there's always a way in which we can heal. But healing first is so important. And, animals are so beautiful at allowing that to occur because they're gentle. Like cats will sit on your lap to purr. And the purring is actually a healing
Mhm.
for the physical body on the vibrational side. But they're just so giving, animals. There's so much unconditional love. And, and horses are magical. I mean, we're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have unicorns soon, honey.
We will. I feel like there's a few that are already here, but they're kind of in the outer realms, you know? They're
Okay,
not
yeah. Yeah.
willing to come in yet, but we will see them out there. And then there will be a few that will be willing to come in.
Mm, mm,
And probably people will see them deep in the forest. Is what it feels like, where
yeah,
it's more.
like the
I
Sasquatch.
almost feel like the fairies keep them safe. Like the
Interesting.
fairies would get after somebody that was like didn't have good intention.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, there was
There are.
that movie about the unicorns too. Not that long ago. Paul Rudd, I think, was in it. So if you guys want to look it up, um,
Oh,
there was a movie about the unicorns, but they're such a small soul group,
yeah.
um, and so magical and so powerful. They're really amazing, actually.
I watched a film recently and it's brand new out. Furry something, but it reminded me, it's a really good film. I cannot remember the name of it, but it
Maybe we'll
reminded
put
me
it
of,
below.
I will put it below, but it reminded me of that film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It
Mhm.
was a brilliant film from last year, but it reminded me massively of that. But it was so good. It was like, was it furry, fluffy, something or other? Anyway, it was brilliant. I just can't remember the name of it. But I did have a really interesting dream about a community recently,
Mm,
and it must have been in the future or something. But they were big houses, but they were super colourful, and there was this green in the middle, and then there was yeah, like a Mary Poppins bridge with a stream running down, and and it was really casual, and everyone was kind of like it was just very free, and this one person said, oh, I think I'd like to move to that house, and so the people were just moving into different houses, like it was like there was no mortgage conversation or
no,
money exchange. It was just, we're going to swap houses, and it was beautiful. It was so colourful. The house was just so beautifully coloured. But it was more the sense of ease, there was no rush for anything. There was no, I've got to create this notice because I've got these bills coming through, but it was just, there was a freedom to it. There was, it wasn't freezing cold, it wasn't boiling hot. It was beautiful. And then another dream I had was traveling around with my friend in this camper van, but we were going to do dream work. And I woke up and I was thinking, but why would you need to travel to do dream work? Why don't you just go to bed and do your dream work? But obviously, maybe you need to be on specific ley lines to do certain work. But maybe we're going to be doing stuff in the dream realms. So I
yeah,
don't know. I don't
yeah.
know.
No, I think we are. I mean, I'm getting handed things in the dream realm to bring back with me,
Mm,
like information. The other night, I was handed a box full of information, and I had
mm,
to bring it back. So it really is kind of amazing, but we
yeah.
never really leave that realm. We
No.
just wake up in this dream,
Yeah.
you know?
This is just real.
So that's the main thing. And then you're like, oh, here again, you know? But now you're like, oh, we get to do stuff here that's more fun now. So it's,
Yeah.
more exciting to be here. But I think remembering that we are in an organic dream realm, organica,
Organic.
and it's a simulation, but it
Yeah.
was created not only by, big architectural beings, but also by us. We
Hmm.
helped create it as well. And we create as a group too. Yeah.
Through the lens of our eyes. And yeah.
Mhm.
But a lot of this is, I mean, a lot of it isn't real, even less so the things that we have no control of. So what's the
Yeah.
point in worrying? And worrying about things, especially worry about things in the future, creates narcissism. So you want to start controlling everything because you have fear of it.
Yeah.
And and then the depression side of things is that we just haven't accepted something.
Right. And you're always looking back to say,
Yeah. Because you haven't accepted the fact that it happened. You haven't come to terms with it. So
right.
yeah, yeah, and but then there's coming to terms with it, but then understanding human psyche, which is why I mentioned that book by Katie Byron, Loving What Is, because it shifted me in terms of kind of understanding that everybody wants to give love, but everyone has a different version of love, maybe, or they were brought up. Because the first 0 to 7 years is your video, you it's kind
Yeah.
of like you're in a dream world,
Spongy
kind of
time.
trying
Yeah.
to, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And then the first 7 years of my life was in Brazil, so it was vibrant, it was brilliant, beautiful people.
Yeah.
England are slightly more tudo fechado. They're a bit doors closed, kind of. That's what the
Mhm.
Brazilians say about the English people. They're a bit more closed, but there's yeah, there's a lot of beauty in this world, so much joy, really. But we can attract it as well. I mean, when I go, because I don't go out very often, but when we do, it's amazing what you actually do attract. And I'm driving along, especially on the motorway, and I'm looking around thinking, everyone must be so joyful around me. I'm going past all these happy cars everywhere.
There you go. Yeah. Just assume the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is joyful. It is joyful. And actually it was something we said just before we got on. It's to me, it's the little things that make me happy. It's when when I was driving along, and you see a leaf fly in front of you. And it just, I don't know why, but it makes me giggle. I like leaves flying in front of me. I don't know why. But, it's the simple things because I've decided to have a happy life, and then
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I chose that when I was 16, running away to Germany on the aeroplane.
Yes.
I can't be boxed.
Right. We all have to choose that too.
Yeah.
Choose happiness from the inside out.
It makes
Yeah.
such a difference to
Mhm.
everyday life. It really does. I
It
get
does.
excited about coffee in the morning, and I'm sure the coffee, some people might
Me
think
too.
coffee is really bad for you, but I get excited about coffee in the morning
I
because it
know.
smells, it permeates the whole house, especially if
Hmm.
you've got a percolator. It's glorious.
Yeah. It is fabulous. And even if it doesn't really do that much when you drink it, like even if you're not getting like a buzz or whatever you're expecting, it feels kind of homey and happy. And
Yeah.
whatever makes you feel that way, do it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Who was it in that secret, wasn't there? There was if you're happy eating a salami sandwich, then eat a salami sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that the secret missed out was the kind of the action part of things. It's the
It did.
yes, you can manifest and you can build and you can dream, but unless you're physically going to take action, because you can just dream, 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 and we can go out of our bodies and we can do all these incredible things, but it's all in the action. It's in the physicality of things. It's bringing people together. It's igniting something
Yeah.
miraculous because we are miraculous. We so are miraculous.
Mhm.
You are the dreamers of the dream.
Yes. Well, and I think they left that out on purpose.
Yeah.
And there were some people I think that they had filmed that they didn't put in there because they said that actually.
Mm.
So I remember
Interesting.
right around that time I was getting ready to move to Colorado and I didn't notice that it wasn't in there. So I just started doing things to create it. So I needed to find a place to live. I needed to get a job transfer. I needed to do all these things. So what did I do? I started packing,
Amazing.
and by the time I had those things in place, all my packing was done
Yeah.
and I
I
was
love
ready to
it.
go.
Yeah.
So it really, you know, it's the action, the willingness to do something. And it's usually not something huge. The
Yeah.
willingness just to move forward with action, that's
Hmm.
how everything materializes for you because you're energetically saying yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But we move through time in terms of kind of understanding how we're going to actually get somewhere. But it's more where you're going to and not the how. Because the
Yeah.
how always shows up, doesn't it? And people worry about the how so much because we live in our heads and not necessarily our hearts. But if we
Yes.
do come from the heart, then the head will just follow. It's like the um what was that oh God, what was it called? I can't remember the name of the documentary. It
This
was
is
something, it was like a
ascension.
really, it's
Yeah.
a really simple one. Anyway, the guy's basically oh, it just, no, forget it. I can't remember exactly what the film was called, but it was a really good one. Anyway, never mind, it's gone. Um, what else did I
Yeah.
have there? Anyway, yeah.
This was
There's
beautiful.
yeah.
This
The
was
love of
beautiful.
creation.
Yeah.
Well, it's it, it's just it's nice to also surround yourself with people. If people put you down, don't be around them. And that is
Mhm.
probably one of the biggest killers, really, of it, all inventions is who do you hang around with? Because what you'll do is you'll replicate what they say. And if it's a negative thing, then you'll get yourself into bad habits, really. So
Yeah.
really be careful who you hang around with. And yeah, don't let people bring you down because there's no point, dimming your light for somebody else. Because if you're
Mhm.
meant to shine, you're meant to shine. And if you're different from everybody, hoorah!
Yes. Yeah.
You've been
Well, and hanging
amazing.
out with them, it is amazing. Hanging out with someone who's not being kind, who's not being supportive, who
Yeah,
only wants from you instead of reciprocating, then
yeah,
you're validating that idea when you're hanging out with them, which
yeah.
isn't good for you. So that's important. It's been one of the biggest wake up calls I think we've had.
Mm,
And during this whole process is over giving.
yeah,
And then when you're over giving to someone, they will just like, they're happy to desert once you're not constantly giving anymore. They just run
mm,
away, they just disappear.
yeah,
And it's because they never were there for you in the first place. So it's been such an interesting journey that we've been on, and it's really getting beautiful right now.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, after this, I've got a call with my operations director. So we're going to go through the final plan together. And
Mhm.
she's put these sums in it, and they're millions of pounds. I have no idea what they're for. Just like, what are these telephone numbers bits? What's
That's
happening
so
to this
funny.
income? But it's to go back into other projects, apparently. Now, I don't quite understand her plan, but she said that it was my plan initially, and she's just rolling out what my plan was. But I was like, I can't actually remember what conversation we had about that. So I've got a
That'll
few
be
million to
fun.
spend, apparently. Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. Because not every project will be billions or millions.
No.
We have the capacity for billions if people want it. and they want to build a whole town or a huge community or
Mhm.
three multiple communities. We have that. As long as you have, you can mitigate all the risks. And we have the vision, the plan, the right people, the conscious co-creators, the people that will actually physically make this happen. You need them in place, and you need, so that there's a lot of forward planning that needs to be done. So if you're wanting to do, if something, ignites you in that healing capacity, in that whatever, because we need a lot of healers at the moment, but we need lots of different types of healers because not
Yes.
every, so actually, yes. Can we just talk about the
Yeah,
frequency
yeah.
thing?
Let's do that before we go. Yeah, go
So
for it.
I had Lyme's not last year, the year before. So I did this show with Mark Atwood about the magnetic bowl. So I helped his mum with her arthritis, and we went live, and we like had 125 orders in one day, and it was mental. And then right after that, I don't know if it was because it was just so crazy, but I got really ill, and I got Lyme's, and it had embedded itself. So it was horrible. And there was, like the doctors were useless, completely useless. Um, and I tried lots of different things. I did try magnetic pulsar. I tried because magnets don't work for parasites, unfortunately. They do work for like tapeworms and things. So cats have puked up tapeworms when after they've curled around them, and because worms are susceptible to very susceptible to north, basically. So if their world is kind of like a bit ooh, that they'll just escape basically, and the cat will puke them up. But it's a bit of a random one. Anyway, so my friend, we were dowsing. So there were these energetic frequencies for Lyme's disease specifically. And so we wrote them down and then we doused whether these frequencies were right for me at this time. So, and then the ones that were, we wrote them down on a new piece of paper, and then she did a deployment. So this is the etheric capacitor, but hers is it's about that big. So not huge, but it's more because it's more intention based.
Hmm.
So we put the piece of paper through the night, and then she directed it as to where I lived, in accordance to where she was at. So she would point it to my house with the paper of the frequency numbers. Now we can also generate the actual frequency because people have got, I think you've got a frequency machine, haven't you, honey? But
Yeah.
the whole of last year, I have not had any issues with my limes. Nada. So I've had a few different kind of frequency healings. Another one, have you heard of the one with the tuning forks? So, I'm not sure. I'd like to find out more information about this. So the Fibonacci, um, there are tuning forks that align with this Fibonacci thing. So there's certain frequencies. I can't remember what they were because it was not last year, the year before. So a guy he chimes a tuning fork and he comes down through my auras. And when it wobbles, it means that if the sound isn't pure, then there is an issue with those outer bodies. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? And so he did it, and it was wobbling. It wasn't a pure sound. So then he took another one, and I think he did a dual things because again, things work in pairs, the yin and the yang. And he brought it slowly down through my auric field, and then he did the original one to test it again, and it was a pure sound all the way down again. I mean, it's amazing. But he said it'll take about 3 months, but you'll be healed. I was like, okay, thank you. But there
Yeah.
are
It's
so many
amazing.
instances. Yeah, we don't just have to go to the doctors. We don't just, there are so many different ways of 32 hertz. I've got one upstairs, just a tuning fork, which is it's the same as a beehive. You can sit next to a beehive, and that's 32 hertz, the hum from it. And it really helps people with anxiety and things, as do the magnetic bowls. But yeah, 32 is really good for clicking somebody out of, well, I don't know, something negative.
Probably great for
Some
the nervous system.
headaches, headaches,
Oh, headaches. Yeah.
headache. I remember suggesting it. This was when we were building was it building the Bob Bet machine? And this guy was getting headaches. And this is really good for headaches. Um, but 32 hertz tuning fork as well is really good for that. Or was it eye ache or something? It was something random in his head. And I said, try getting a 32 hertz tuning fork and then just placing it above wherever it was. I think it was the eye. It was something to do with the head or the eye, but it fixed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything is frequency, and I think we're about to have a flood of information about frequency. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm
Yeah, it's
gonna
the end
have
of
to go.
January.
This is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, appreciate your time. Thank you, honey.
This has
And
been so wonderful.
maybe next time you can bring your frequency machine that you've got and tell us about
Yeah,
it.
and try and remember what it's called because I just got it.
And I need to remember what that film is.
Yeah. Okay.
So, thank
All
you.
right.
Appreciate it. And lots of
Love
love
you
to
guys.
everybody. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, honey. Bye bye.
Bye.